So this last week, Sunday, we talked about fasting. We talked about the rhythms and habits and how it's been part of the church life for millennia, up until a very recent memory. And so it reminded me of a time in college at some stage when I was at the dining hall while I was fasting, because apparently I'm masochistic and social and just want to spend time with friends. I was walking back from the soda machine with a cup full of like Diet Coke, and a friend of mine met me, knew I was fasting, and chewed me out and told me how I was doing it wrong. The longer I've lived with that experience, it just always has sat with me and rubs me still the wrong way, because the longer I've studied the scriptures and looked at this, the more I feel convicted that what the scriptures call us to, what Jesus demonstrates for us, is a posture towards fasting, right? And what that means and how you and I do it and what it goes. The old monastics, the old mothers and fathers would refer to it as starving the flesh in order to feed the spirit. It's the thing that we see Jesus do when he goes out in the desert for 40 days and he doesn't eat, and he just spends time in prayer and in order to align who he was with the desires and longings of his soul, right? Again, trying to starve Jesus' own flesh to be in line with the spirit and what that means. And I think it has something to say for you and I. Sometimes we make fasting to be this big, complicated thing, or it's something we do in these high, holy moments, but the church throughout history never understood it that way. It was something that we did as a regular process to remind ourselves of the things that we long for, and to use our physical longings and urges for hunger, in particular for hunger, to align with our prayer and our longings for the things of the kingdom and the things of God. And that's what fasting is. It's a reminder towards the things of heaven and what it looks like. It's not magic words. It doesn't suddenly make your prayers more effective or mean you get what you want, but it's a means of aligning our bodies and our souls so they become more closely enmeshed in who we are and how we live out in this world. And we want to spend some time in this season and invite you to fast. If you have already at this stage in the week, you've gone through this, right? You've experienced both the sense of hunger and what it does to you physically and how it affects you spiritually. And sometimes that can be really easy and good, and sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes it's just confusing. And that's all okay. That's part of the journey. Trying to, again, get it so that we have an alignment between our spirit and our bodies and how we function as disciples, right? And again, this is something that has been part of the church history from in the very early ages up until recent history, that Christians and believers, that the people of God would fast, abstain from food, not for a long period, normally for breakfast and lunch, in order to align their bodies and souls, to starve the flesh in order to feed the spirit. And so we wanted to encourage you to try that this week, right? Parts of it may be easy, parts of it may be hard, parts will bring up confusion with you, or parts will feel glorious and great and easy. We never entirely know until we engage, but that is the challenge before us as we live in this rhythm and season of Lent. Would you be willing to try some new things, to try some different rhythms and disciplines and practices, to practice the way of Jesus in order to get our bodies and souls more in line as we try to follow as disciples of Christ? Grace and peace, friends. Have a good week. We'll see you all later.